Hey y'all, it's Katie here. Good morning. I'm out here early before go off to the church office and take the kids to school. A lot of times either on my back porch or over a little farther, seeing some of the water here in our neighborhood. And I wanted to come to you today talking a little bit about resilience. So I've of course been thinking about our neighbors to the west of us and to the north of us over this past week in the wake of Hurricane Laura. And of course, Baton Rouge is my hometown, born and raised, but every single place I've served in Louisiana and other places like Memphis and Chicago just have these deep ways that they imprint on your heart and in your bones. And so I was thinking about early on in my time as senior pastor in Lake Charles at another university church where I got into the discipline of running. So I was running long distances, doing 5Ks, 10Ks, then half marathons, not doing that so much these days, but I was getting up on Saturday mornings, running many miles down in the downtown area, close to the water, close to all of the old historic homes and office buildings. And one of the things that you find is that you can drive around those places all the time and notice things here and there, but when you're walking in a neighborhood and when you're walking in an area, particularly one with so much history like that one, you see things differently and a little bit more up close. And so I found myself often on Saturdays running around the Imperial Calcasieu Museum, and right around that museum is this historic oak tree that we have all around South Louisiana, but this one is called the Sallier oak tree. And it was named for Charles Sallier, for whom Lake Charles is named. And he was one of the early settlers, immigrants, along with the LeBlues and other originator families there that helped to make that city what it is today. And the tree is one that stood kind of as a canopy over the first home that he built by the large waterway there. What's beautiful about the Sallier oak tree is not just its towering branches and the way that it just kind of provides this embrace of anybody that stands beneath its beauty, but I think one of the most powerful pieces of its history is over its 375 or so years of life. I don't know if I have that exactly correct, but over those years of life, it has gone through storm after storm and fire after fire, all sorts of trouble that would have easily taken it down, and it has remained and stood firm in every single instance. Even through Hurricane Laura, in a time when you had thousands of trees that were downed, everyone wondered, and even I could see on social media people were asking, is the Sallier still up? And it was. The most beautiful part of that tree is at certain points in its life, one particularly in the 1930s, there was a bolt of lightning that hit it and it started to catch fire, and there was one large piece of the tree that was about to pull away and die. And so again, as the story's told to me, they took some chains and wrapped it around the tree, hoping that it would hold together enough so that it would mend and bind once again and remain the beautiful and vast, I guess, monument of history that it is. And it was able to bond. There were a few pieces that rotted and pulled away, but at the end of the day, the tree held together. And what's interesting about it is that those chains were never taken off. They couldn't be, because the tree actually grew around, over, and through those chains. Even the little holes in the links, you can see the bark just kind of having grown and creating those chains as a part of its history, not something that was outside of it anymore. And there's a sense where I think that's just such a beautiful metaphor for what we deal with in our daily lives. in seasons of life that really threaten to take us down or even more bind us in the chains of whatever we experience that maybe threatens to steal our joy, our livelihood, or even our life itself. It is this tree, this Sallier live oak tree, a sign of the people of resilience, that it is rooted within this land, Louisiana, and all of its faithful people within it. There's something in our bones that just continues to come back and grow around and through whatever does come around and bind us. I know I had some experiences this week, particularly one yesterday with, you may have seen on social media. If you didn't, wanted you to know that yesterday there was a lot of our staff and our custodians and a few volunteers that received a 26-foot U-Haul truck from a church in Panama City, and their pastor and their youth director were driving this over hours and many, many hundreds of miles. They were on their way to Lafayette, and when I-10 was closed, they ultimately called me up because the pastor and I knew each other from other General Church events, and he called, can we drop it off at your church? And we said, of course, sure. So you have all of these donations for Hurricane Laura survivors in our chapel. And as I heard Jeremy's story of his community that he's serving right now in Panama City, they experienced Hurricane Michael in 2018, only 2 years ago. And he described it like these people of faith having a trauma response when they watched Hurricane Laura grow from a Cat 2 to a 3 to a 4, almost a 5. And they knew that they could do nothing else but respond to the friends that they had to the west of them. And so, you know, there's story after story, whether it be 4 states away or even in our own community, where we've continued to grow around and through those chains that bind us, that when we can't break away the chains, we find a way to incorporate them healthily in our lives to make us stronger. And probably any of you that are hearing the sound of my voice right now can give witness to that. You know, I lived through with you Hurricane Andrew and Hurricane Isaac and Gustav. I came and brought teams during Hurricane Katrina and in the Baton Rouge flood of 2016 when we were only a couple hours away. I have seen the resilience of our community, and probably some of you, even most freshly in 2016, had to live growing around and through and over those chains in your life, and perhaps that process is still going on today. Whatever it is, we have seen some difficult times. And we've had each of these storms and these battles in our lives that threaten to tear us internally, individually, even apart from our purpose and from our calling and from our distinct hope and joy that God has given us. But when we can't break away the chains and we grow around them, that is what resilience is. If I can think of any definition, it really would be that, leaning on that again and again. And so today I want to ask you, how are you growing resilience in yourself, and especially leaning on God to do that? A God that continues in the Psalms that are speaking to the people of faith. I don't have a particular psalm today, but it's this idea that God is constantly from generation to generation singing songs over us in our greatest time of trial. When I find myself in the toughest spots in life, I ask myself the question, trying to move away from my experience as much as I can. What are the words that God is speaking over me in my life right now? And what is the song that God may be singing over me as a song of comfort, as a song of peace, as a song of encouragement, as a song of reminding me of who I am and who God has called me to be. What might those answers be for you today with whatever trial that binds you? What psalm can you flip through in the scripture today that might speak to your lament or to your praise of God for coming through a difficult time? One of the ways we grow resilience is not just by deepening our faith in devotion and in reading and in prayer and all of the means of grace that are available to us, but it is especially sometimes doing those things that get us moving. And in a time when we could easily be paralyzed, we are a witness forward anyway. Whether it has happened to us or we feel the grief and the pain of others around us, we are witnesses to resilience. We are witnesses to that spiritual strength when we get up and move and we do something. And so I know on Monday you probably saw a post, and you'll see in our email to the congregation gathering and scattering tomorrow that you have opportunities to do just that, to project and witness forward in resilience for others. You can do that by praying for our folks all around our state that are struggling right now with basic necessities of water and power and of being able to access their houses and salvage what they can. You can pray for them that God will grow resilience within them. You can also offer financial donations, and there's information on our website and in those email communications and social media from our Facebook page that will provide those options available to you. You can offer donations. I know my family, we're going to the store tonight and going to offer our donations on Thursday. You can bring them Thursday, Friday during certain hours that are all listed in those communications, and Sunday you can bring them during our drive-through communion that we'll be offering after our worship service that day. We'll have folks ready to receive them so that we can pass them on to those in such desperate need of them most. And then if you feel led, I'm going to be leading a mission team to muck out some houses. Don't know who they'll be, but we're going to go to the people that need it most on Monday. And I'd love for you to join me, at least 6 to 8 of you. If there are more, we can create 2 teams. But we're going to be partnering with the congregation of Jefferson United Methodist Church across town and drive together to work Labor Day in the most faithful and hopeful way that we can. And so if you want to do that, you can email me, you can call the church office and let Courtney Monk know about your desire to do that, and we'll give you more information. Friends, if you can't break away the chains, grow around and through them. May we grow as tall oak trees as a testament and witness to God's goodness in our lives today and in the lives of many, even when that goodness may not be readily apparent right in front of us. Resilience and strength is available for us as a gift of the Spirit, even now. Go in peace, friends. Have a great day.